off.
Trust meteorologist Mikkel Hannah Harding for your first alert. First Alert Radar, powered by Jim Hudson Automotive Group.
Happy holidays from Parker's Kitchen. Sending a world of good wishes to our invaluable team members. Thank you for making Parker's the best place to work and shop.
Live from Augusta, you're watching News 12, live at 5.
I'm Meredith Anderson. More on ice in just a minute, but first, let's talk debris. It has now been more than 4 months since Helene, and still, those piles are causing lots of problems for a lot of us. Many streets are waiting for crews to finish clearing debris, but some are waiting for that clearing to start. So when leaders say they're making a final pass, it's left some wondering if it will ever get picked up. Your Kennedy Payne is live in Augusta tonight on Hawk Drive. Kennedy, what are people in the community saying to you?
Yeah, well, I spoke with a couple people, and they're saying they see some debris trucks, but a lot of people are saying they're still waiting for that first pass. And when you drive around Richmond County, you'll still see those piles of debris. And one of those we're about to show you right here. It's pretty big, guys, but a lot of people are confused after Richmond County announced dates for final debris pass because some neighborhoods haven't had an initial pickup. We spoke with Steve Castle. He's the debris consultant for Richmond County. He says some neighborhoods are seeing a final pass, and they are aware some still need a first pass. The goal is to close out some of the streets that are almost cleaned up so they can redirect resources to areas still in their initial pass. In the beginning, they focused on the heaviest hit areas, but during this final pass, the county has been divided by voting precincts, starting in the northern area of Richmond County.
Street by street, and then it's inspected by an inspector, and then he declares it clean, and we're done. We're not coming back there. And we'll make announcements as we close each precinct out, and then which precincts we're coming to next. So people have advance notice on everything notice, but basically if we haven't announced for second pass, you're still in your initial pass, and we're still got resources down there.
And we're also approaching the deadline for 100% FEMA reimbursement. So all new on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we'll tell you when the county thinks they'll be done with all this and whether or not they'll make that deadline.
It is quickly approaching. Thanks for that, Kennedy. If you live in South Carolina, today is the deadline to apply for FEMA assistance for individuals from Hurricane Helene. You have until 11:59 p.m. tonight to get your application in. After, you can still update your information or even submit supporting documents. But FEMA wants you to know they're not going anywhere.
But we want people to know that just because the deadline has approached in South Carolina, that does not mean that FEMA is packing up and leaving the state of South Carolina. We remain committed to the state, and we will continue to be in the state of South Carolina for as long as needed.
If you live in Georgia, you have a little more than a week to submit your application. Your deadline is coming up February 7th. And all this talk about debris, boy, we have had a wild couple of weeks in weather. I mean, we've had snow, we've had ice, and Riley, we're having warm temperatures now.
For the first time all year, it seems like, Mayor, we are looking at above average temperatures for the rest of the week. We got closer.
Jury selection wrapping up ahead of the trial for the former Brunswick District Attorney. Jackie Johnson faces 2 charges of violation of oath of office and obstruction of law enforcement. Johnson is accused of interfering in the investigation of Ahmaud Arbery in 2020 by showing favor to the men now convicted of his murder.
Jackie, this is Greg. Can you call me as soon as you possibly can? My son and I have been involved in a shooting, and I need some advice right away. If you could please call me as soon as you possibly can. Thanks. Bye.
The indictment also accuses her of telling officers not to arrest one of the men's sons, who was also then later convicted in the case. Once jury selection is complete, the judge hopes to get the trial underway this week. New in just the last hour, the Coliseum and the Authority in Augusta have made a motion to approve a contract to bring an East Coast Hockey League team to Augusta. Next, the ECHL will approve the contract themselves, but this is one step closer to Augusta being home of a new AA hockey team. A heads up for drivers in North Augusta. Railroad Avenue will be closed this Thursday and Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Crews will be working on the road between the traffic circles by SRP Park. They suggest avoiding the area for those 2 days if you can. It is almost time for this year's Drive, Chip, and Putt. Junior golfers will compete at Augusta National in April, but tonight registration is open for next year. Qualifying begins May 2nd at the local level at nearly 360 sites across the United States. After 2 additional qualifying rounds, 80 kids will compete in the finals in April of 2026, right there at Augusta National. You can find the sign-up link on our website, Wrdw.com. South Carolina senators continued their debate on the state's private school voucher program. We'll show you what they were able to accomplish coming up. Riley?
And today was actually the warmest day we've had in over 10 days. A high temperature of 60 and getting closer to 70 tomorrow. Have that full forecast up next.
Time and temp, brought to you by your First Alert weather team.
It's the coldest time of year in the CSRA. To stay up to date on anything winter weather to severe weather, download our First Alert weather app to get the most accurate forecast in our area.
The 2025.
Right, that sounds good. Thanks, Riley. After a week-long hiatus, South Carolina's controversial school voucher bill is back up for debate at the State House. Now, this bill would give certain families public dollars to send their kids to private schools, and Republicans are trying to pass it again after the state Supreme Court ruled that spending is not legal. Your South Carolina State House reporter Mary Green has the very latest.
The biggest difference between this new bill senators are now debating and the one the state Supreme Court struck down partially last year is that the new bill would fund South Carolina's private school voucher program using lottery revenues. That's important because it's how some Republicans believe this new program could pass court muster this time around. But on Tuesday, much of the debate in the Senate focused on other details that are also significant, like who exactly would be eligible for the program, and differences within the Republican supermajority became more evident. The current bill would let families qualify if their income is less than 600% of the federal poverty line, about $187,000 for a family of 4.
Y'all, that ain't middle class in South Carolina.
Senate Republican leader Shane Massey proposed an amendment that would cut that maximum eligibility to 400%, where it was under the earlier program the legislature approved. Massey's proposal would have reverted other details of the bill back to the earlier version as well, like changing how much families would receive from an amount that varies from year to year to a set amount, as well as adding student testing requirements for accountability and requiring providers receiving these dollars perform criminal background checks.
I want to make sure that we are not signing off on something and telling parents, hey, this provider is okay, but yeah, we didn't check to find out whether he's a sex offender.
But other Republicans argued Massey's amendment would restrict eligibility and the scholarship amount too much and make the program harder for families to use.
If you're against school choice, you are for this amendment. If you're for school choice, you are against this amendment.
Ultimately, more members of the Republican supermajority voted against the amendment, doing away with some of those requirements Massey wanted to reinstate and keeping families making nearly $200,000 a year eligible to receive this money. Senators still have more amendments to get through on this bill and will continue their debate here Wednesday. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
Democrats across the board say they're against the voucher program as a whole, believing the millions of dollars that would go toward paying for private school tuition could instead be spent on improving public schools. The winter weather we've been having, boy, it did some potential damage to Georgia crops. We'll show you how farmers are doing and what they're doing after this.
First Alert Radar, powered by Jim Hudson Automotive Group.
A brand new product developed for roof savers claims to be able to strengthen your roof shingles, adding up to 17 years to its lifespan. It's called Renew It 17 with Rock Block technology, and we put it to the test in a physics lab.
3, 2, 1.
Those little rocks you see flying are called granules. Over time, more of those disappear, and the weaker your shingle becomes.
The ratio of chemistries that hold it in, that ratio changes, so it gets more brittle, and the granules are not, they don't adhere as much.
That's where Renew It 17 with Rock Lock technology comes in. Check out the difference in these two roofs, both 14 years old.
Can you hear that difference?
Right.
Versus.
Right, you can really see the difference. Dr. Robert Johnson, a physicist with a doctorate from Oxford, is using a test for shingles trusted by the Underwriters Laboratory.
That requires dropping a steel ball from a distance of 20 feet above our sample material and hitting the same location twice in a row.
And it has to pass that test 6 times, drop after drop.
That one's good.
Shingles treated with a single coat of Renew It 17.
This one's definitely passing.
Pass the test.
When the ball impacts, it hits here. What we look for is on the backside, are there any tears?
Tears mean water can damage the wood underneath and cause damage to your property.
The test requires us to look at it under a 5x magnification.
It was completely
Leakage.
dry. The testing even exceeded the developers' expectations. Unlike other companies that offer 5 to 15-year warranties with multiple treatments, Roof Savers offers a 17-year warranty with just one application and one treatment. For more information, call Roof Savers or visit myroofsavers.com.
In the CSRA, there are a few winter essentials, and one you can't go without. The 1226 First Alert Weather App, the earliest alerts, customized for you, and video forecasts from local experts.
Lake wind advisory's in effect, and it's a really cold afternoon.
It's the must-have accessory to get you ready for the elements. Download the free 1226 First Alert Weather App, your essential winter survival tool.
After weeks of winter weather, and especially those winter storms last week, farmers across Georgia are trying to assess any damage to crops. Olivia Wright shows us some of that damage.
A&M Farms in Lyons, Georgia is mostly known as one of the top producers of the iconic Vidalia onions. The farm's specialty each year is around 10,000 acres of hand-planted onions. However, owner Aries Haygood says this year was the most challenging.
And I know that there's a lot of onion guys that won't forget this year. You know, there's always years that a farmer, as they get older, they always remember certain years, and this will definitely be a year that we all will remember.
This past year included everything from hurricanes, flooding, and now a snowstorm. Haygood says they prepared as much as they could for the snow.
It has snowed here, off and on every maybe 4 or 5 years. But for some reason, it just seemed like this year's snow was thicker and heavier, and it stuck too, instead of melting so fast. You can tell that that's about how high the snow was.
However, some of the onions experienced what farmers call burn.
You know, visually looking over the field, walking, there is some burn. It's no different than you and I. If we had taken a piece of ice and stuck it on our skin for a little too long, it's gonna turn red, be irritated.
Haygood says he expects a recovery of the damaged onions and believes they will be ready for harvest in April. He calls these onions the most resilient, believing they will be the best batch they have ever produced.
We run around worried about having the perfect onion sometimes, and it's like, something can change overnight, and it's out of our control, and there's nothing we can do about it.
And watch this be the best crop he has ever had. We can sure hope, right? The U.S. Soccer Federation and Home Depot held a ceremonial beam raising at the site of a new soccer training facility in Fayette County. The campus will cover more than 200 acres with enough fields for all 27 national teams. The building will also become the headquarters for U.S. Soccer, with the goal to create a space to foster the sport.
You'll start to see an aspirational component. So imagine being a youth national team player, with aspirations to wear the kit of a senior national team. Now you've got something to dream for and something to really, set your sights on developing as a player.
The new facility is set to open in April of next year, just before the World Cup comes to Atlanta. One of the University of Georgia's residence halls is getting a multi-million-dollar renovation. Crews will begin work on Creswell Hall this summer, with full construction starting in spring of 2027. Some of the renovations include new bathrooms, upgraded elevators, new laundry machines, redesigned rooms, and more. Officials say the project will cost about $15 million. One Georgia boy is going to travel the country to speak about his condition. We'll show you why he was selected for the honor coming up. Okay, Riley, I lived in Brumby. Where did you live at UGA?
So I actually lived off campus. I went to Gainesville State. I was a fighting goose my first 2 years in college, transferred into Georgia, so I never actually got to live on campus housing.
I was a Brumby baby.
Yep, frequented Brumby a little bit there freshman year for sure. But hey, we got the green light to wash the car through Thursday. We got yellow light before your Friday, though, expecting rain to show up by the afternoon. Then a quick look at that 7-day just after the break.
SRP Federal Credit Union. We're not just a financial...
A 6-year-old at the Children's Hospital of Georgia is getting ready to share his story across the country. Cole Peace was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, or brittle bone disease, but that has not stopped him one bit, and he was chosen to be a 2025 national champion by the Children's Miracle Network. Cole will join 12 other kids from all over the United States as a national ambassador to help encourage communities to support kids just like him. You go, Cole.
Absolutely. What an honor that is. And he's definitely going to be a good ambassador. And you can see he's pretty good on the putting green right there, too. So, hey, hopefully he can represent Augusta well, and definitely going to bring a lot of smiles here. Hey, looking at I-20, we do have traffic returning to the area. This is that eastbound lane of I-20 crossing into South Carolina. So just a heads up, some slow-moving traffic. Clear skies, though. We have temperatures comfortable right now, near 60 degrees, a little bit breezy, and only going to get a little bit breezier heading into our Wednesday. So a heads up, some gusts, maybe close to 25 miles an hour at times Wednesday afternoon, but high temperatures the next couple of days, warming up close to 70 Wednesday, Thursday. Then we should hit the 70s Friday for that last day of January. Stick with us. We're going to have much more just after a very short break.
Introducing the First Alert Radar Network.
With up to 10 times the resolution of other local radars and technology that can pinpoint right down to your street.
First just got faster.
Circle with storage beds like this, and save even more with great kids' room packages. Buy the bed, finish the look, get delivery, and expert setup during the Rooms to Go Kids Bed Sale.
I'm Austin Jackson, and for me, keeping it local really matters. Like when you're hungry. It's tough to beat a great meal at your favorite local spot. Well, if you've been injured, keeping it local matters even more. You need a law firm with experience in our area's courtrooms and a track record you can trust. The CSRA has always been my home. People know my law firm for work in the community as well as for our life-changing results. That's local experience you can count on. If you've been injured, call Austin Jackson, the Augusta guy, 706-724-7224.
Circle K's new free Inner Circle membership program makes filling up reward.
Parker's Kitchen is my new daily coffee stop.
Gourmet beans are freshly ground for every cup. Get your own cup of great tasting, freshly brewed coffee at Parker's Kitchen.
You're watching News 12 live at 5. Continues.
Good evening, and thank you for choosing us. I'm Meredith Anderson. To weather now with your First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale as we take a live look over Beach Island. Look at that, a beautiful day, a warm day, and the days are getting longer. How great is that? Riley, it sounds also like a midweek warm-up is on its way, so even warmer than we've been seeing.
That's right, Meredith. We should actually get about 10 degrees warmer tomorrow. We topped out at 60 degrees today in Augusta. Should be closer to 68 tomorrow. And then by the end of the week, by Friday, we're expecting highs in the mid-70s. So it is going to be a continued warm-up for us over the next couple of days. High pressure is just centered off towards our west. It's going to stay there and just providing a little bit of a breeze this afternoon. But a beautiful look over Beach Island. Once again, our temperatures right now at 59. You can see that west wind has been pretty steady, over 10 miles an hour most of the afternoon, and right now around 12. But as we head into tomorrow, that sustained wind could get up to around 15, 18 miles an hour for Wednesday, so expecting that to pick up heading into tomorrow. Now for this evening, if you are stepping out, clear skies and temperatures will be falling into the 40s by around 8 p.m. By midnight, we should be around 44 degrees, and you can see that wind's going to be with us tonight. It's not going to go calm, so tomorrow morning our actual lows will be in the upper 30s with that sustained wind still around 5 to 12. Can't rule out that morning temp feels feels a little bit cooler out there for you. But how about this? Tomorrow afternoon, normal high 60. Our highs expected tomorrow most likely in the upper 60s, 68, 69 degrees. So getting close to 70. I think most spots should stay just shy of it, but many locations will get close. This is the story for tomorrow. Just going to see that wind gusting maybe 20, 25 miles an hour for most of our Wednesday afternoon. So just a heads up, a little bit breezy out there as we head towards the middle of the week. And we are expecting rain by Friday. We'll have a look at that in the full forecast in just a bit.
All right, thanks for that, Riley. Tonight, the Wagner Fire Department is working to gain its footing as a separate entity. This after its fire chief and nearly 24 firefighters resigned in November. The Wagner Town Council has already voted to separate from the fire department, but tonight, the Aiken County Council could help decide what's next. Your Audrey Dickherber joins us live at 5 from that meeting now. And Audrey, now that the Wagner Fire Department is looking to become a nonprofit, so that's how they're planning to continue serving the community?
Yeah, Meredith, they actually told me they submitted that request to the Secretary of State to become a nonprofit. Now they're just waiting for a response. But let me show you what I'm seeing here. This meeting's happening right now, and actually there's so many people here that there's an overflow that's happening in the hallway out here. And actually the county gave a 90-day notice of termination to the town of Wagner back in November. That'll end on February 18th. So many people are hoping for a decision that will be made soon, but the Wagner Fire Department hopes they'll decide to move forward with the department becoming its own entity, but other options are also coming into play. One option is a new department coming in, but that would mean they would also need an LLC name and file with the Secretary of State too, plus you add in staffing and equipment. And the other is to have surrounding fire departments absorb the Wagner Fire District into theirs. But regardless of the decision, officials say it all comes down to making sure the people of Wagner are safe and covered.
Anything once we got assurance that there's coverage for the district, and we've got some great surrounding fire departments and mutual aid agreements and things like that. So there's never been an issue about the operational side of things. It's just a matter of what the long-term solution is going to be. So that could be this could be decided tonight.
And we are waiting for that decision that's happening right now. But coming up all new on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we are going to hear from the current fire department and on that decision. So come back and we'll keep you updated.
All right, thank you, Audrey. A lot of people closely watching this. Their safety could depend on it. This Thursday marks 3 years since Alexis Ware was last seen driving away from a 7-Eleven in Anderson County, South Carolina, a couple hours away. Her car was later found in McCormick County near the Georgia line, but she was nowhere to be found. The case remains open under the Anderson County Sheriff's Office. Tonight, her loved ones are pushing for more to be done, not only for Alexis Ware's case, but also for the dozens of missing persons cases that have sat without new leads for years. Kennedy Harris explains how Ware's family hopes other families can find help through the Alexis Ware Act.
This case will be 3 years old with absolutely no type of resolve whatsoever.
Uncertainty and anguish, words Alexis Ware's mother used in a letter describing her emotions the last few years.
We know that some of our local municipalities do not have the resources to conduct a thorough investigation, and we believe that SLED would have the ability to do so.
Along with Alexis Ware's sister, community activist Bruce Wilson presented Greenville legislators the Alexis Ware Act. The proposed legislation would allow families of missing persons to request SLED takeover cases which remain unsolved after 12 months. Along with the act, Wilson included a letter from SLED responding to Ware's mother's request for their assistance.
And one thing they say is that we cannot do anything because we have to be invited in. And that's been the problem. They haven't been invited in.
In a statement from June, the Anderson County Sheriff's Office told us their detectives are immensely invested in Ware's case. It went on to say SLED and other agencies are aware of elements of the case.
They understand that it takes time. They understand the resources. They get all of that. But what they are completely upset with and didn't understand is that when it came to receiving meaningful communication with the investigator or the individual that's over that case, it was lacking. It wasn't there.
Ware's family is hopeful if a legislator sponsors the bill, it could help bring them and other families one step closer to answers.
The impact of Alexis's disappearance is not limited to our family alone.
Her children are suffering immensely, grappling with the absence of their mother and the unanswered questions that hunt us all.
The Anderson County Sheriff's Office says they continue to follow on every lead and investigate any evidence in Ware's disappearance. SLED says it remains aware of elements of the case. Burke County Sheriff Alfonso Williams says he is left with no choice but to file a civil suit against the county. This because he says he wants full control of his budget. This week, a Georgia lawmaker is trying to pump the brakes on a longtime police practice that generates millions for small cities off the backs of drivers. Now, this comes after an investigation by our sister station in Atlanta, Atlanta News First, which uncovered a loophole in Georgia law that allows cities to collect unlimited cash through fines and forfeitures. The investigation found at least 17 municipalities that relied on 25% or more of their annual budgets from fines and citations. One of those cities was Lenox, Georgia, which collected nearly 73% of its revenue, 73% from traffic fines in 2022.
When you look at the stories of these cities who are truly just profiting off of people, that erodes the confidence in public safety, and that's really what the motive is behind this.
If the bill passes, it would cap the amount of revenue cities can collect from traffic fines to 10% of their annual budgets. Citations above that threshold would go to a state fund. Georgia Democrats are coming up with a plan to push their legislation before it is too late. Your State House reporter takes a look at their goals after the break. Riley?
And keeping it on the breezy side for our Wednesday before we calm down a little bit Thursday, but then rain does look likely Friday. We'll talk all about in the full forecast next.
Time and Temp, brought to you by your First Alert weather team.
It's the coldest time of year in the CSRA. To stay up to date on anything winter weather to severe weather, download our First Alert weather app to get the most accurate forecast in our area.
Hey guys, it's Anna Christina here for Roof Savers. It's that time of year again, the perfect time to invest in your home. And what's the most important investment for your home? Your roof. If you've been worried about the age of your roof, missing shingles, black stains, or even leaks, I've got great news for you. There's a scientifically proven solution that can extend the life of your roof by 17 years with just one treatment. It's called Renew at 17 with Rock Lock technology exclusively from Roof Savers. And Russell Beckham is one of the owners of Roof Savers. And Russell, did I just hear that you can extend the life of a roof by 17 years with just one application?
You sure did, Anna. Our exclusive product, Renew at 17 with Rock Lock technology, is a game changer for homeowners. Just one treatment of Renew at 17 extends the life of your roof by 17 years. But that's not all. Thanks to recent testing with independent scientists and a physicist from Oxford University, we've also confirmed that Renew at 17 significantly improves hail impact resistance, even with aging or inferior shingles.
There's never been a better time to protect your home's most valuable asset, your roof. Don't wait until it's too late. Call the team from Roof Savers right now for your free roof inspection.
Extend the life of your roof by 17 years with just one treatment with roof preservation exclusively from Roof Savers.
Roof Savers. Save your roof, save your money.
We wanted to be able to...
Friday. Here's a look at the next 7 days. We will see that rain Friday, but outside of that, a mostly dry 7-day forecast. And next week looks gorgeous. Highs near 70 and plenty of sun.
Oh, perfect. Thanks for that, Riley. Georgia Democrats making a big proposal to expand health care to more Georgians and gun safety measures. Your Georgia State House reporter Abby Kasoris has the latest from Atlanta.
Here at the state capitol, Democrats are in the minority, meaning they need to search for allies, and they think that they found some. Or Republican senators have signed on to this bill, which would fully expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act, essentially ditching the governor's plan. Democrats estimate 500,000 Georgians would be eligible.
This is the greatest failure of Republican leadership, is the lack of providing access to health care to Georgia citizens.
House Minority Leader Carolyn Hughley partnering with Senate Minority Leader Harold Jones, a united force to push Senate Bill 50 through.
That's the bottom line. Your constituents need your help. Georgia needs your help because many of those Republican senators represent those rural areas.
4 Republican senators signed on to the measure. Russ Goodman, Billy Hickman, Cardin Summers, and Ben Watson. We talked to Watson last year.
So I do think we still need to explore what we're doing, give this a little bit of time, another year or so.
Watson said he'd wait and see how many people would sign up. The latest numbers are underwhelming. 1 in 10 Georgians remain uninsured. Since Georgia Pathways launched in July 2023, more than 8,300 people have enrolled, a far cry from the 200,000 people the governor's office expected. When asked in a press conference earlier this month, Governor Brian Kemp said he would not support Medicaid expansion.
And I am not in that boat.
The governor said his number one focus this legislative session is tort reform, which would limit the number of lawsuits and their payouts in our state. Tort reform could be a bargaining chip for Democrats who want Medicaid expansion and gun safety measures. State Senator Elena Perrin pushing a bill requiring guns to be secure around children or face a misdemeanor offense.
And really unacceptable. And Georgia can do better.
State Senator Emmanuel Jones flanked by parents with signs calling for change. Senate Democrats supporting a statewide database to allow schools to track concerning behavioral trends. Democrats filing those bills today. Next, they'll be assigned to committee. In Atlanta, I'm Abby Kasoris.
Video footage from a Tesla showing the terrifying moment when ice fell nearly 185 feet from Savannah's Talmadge Bridge and into oncoming traffic. As a result, that car was totaled, and its owners realizing they were extremely fortunate. Footage shows a snowplow causing the snow and ice to fall below. Now, thankfully, nobody was injured, but many say things could have been very different.
What if the ice that hit us wasn't an act of God? Like, what if it came from the plow?
Crazy. I don't know how those people are reacting to it, but like their cars are completely damaged. This is them just driving underneath.
Crazy. That could kill someone. That's murder.
GDOT says it will review any claims made against the state for vehicle damage and says snow and ice removal is an uncommon occurrence in the coastal region. Here for us too.
When it comes to picking out a new TV, bigger is not always better. I'm Jamie Tucker, coming up with a rule to follow before you spend too much on a TV that's too big.
First Alert Radar, powered by Jim Hudson Automotive Group. They're loud.
From Gerald Jones Subaru. For a limited time, drive a new 2024 Subaru Solterra for just $291 a month, or with financing as low as 0%. Or explore in a new 2025 Subaru Outback for just $308 a month, or with financing as low as 2.9%. Jones Subaru.
Super Bowl sales mean now is a great time to buy a new TV, and there's a lot to choose from 4K to 8K and OLED. It can get pretty confusing. Your consumer tech reporter Jamie Tucker breaks down how you can find the right TV without spending too much.
Now, the first thing you should know is that an OLED TV is superior to any other television. It's display technology where each pixel is self-illuminating, which means brighter colors and darker blacks. A 4K or 8K, it's the resolution or the number of pixels. It's also branded as UHD. The more pixels, the more detail. All of that is important, but one of the biggest considerations is the size of the TV. Big rooms need big TVs, right? Because people generally sit farther away from the screen. But what about small rooms and bedrooms? Well, there is a rule to help you decide, and it could save you a lot of money. Figure out how big you need by measuring from the TV to where people sit. You'll measure by inches, not feet. Then take that number and divide by 2, which will give you the ideal screen size. This is just a useful rule of thumb. You'll also want to pick a size that appears best in the room. And to find that, use something like Amazon's AR shopping tool. Find a TV of the size you're considering and then choose See It in My Room. Aim your phone camera where you'll place the TV and tap the screen. You will see what it will look like if you choose that size. Choosing the right size can save a lot of money. A 55-inch TV is roughly half the cost of an 85-inch model. Of course, it's a matter of personal preference, but if people are generally sitting around 10 feet from the screen, I would get a smaller screen and then take the money you save and invest in a better display, such as an OLED television. That's What the Tech. I'm Jamie Tucker.
Prices of OLED TVs have dropped in recent years. 5 years ago, a 65-inch OLED cost around $6,000. Now that same size TV is just $1,400. South Carolina men's basketball has yet to win in the SEC, but they could turn to a familiar name tonight to overpower Georgia on the road. Alyssa.
Yeah, Denmark Olar Zachary Davis is becoming a go-to guy on Lamont Paris's squad this season. He's scored in double figures in 3 out of the Gamecocks' already 7 SEC games. Tonight he hopes to make it number 4. He's become a key contributor for just as he was for the Vikings, playing for his dad. In the last 2 games, Davis was crucial. He helped the Gamecocks to a 10-point lead against Florida. Before the Gators took over, he scored a career-high 22 that game. The guard had 4 steals against Mississippi State, forcing the game into overtime. And while his contributions have been noted, the Gamecocks have not been able to finish out those close games.
Got fragile. We got to do better. Things like that can't happen. We just got to get ready for the next game and practice tomorrow and just work on those things. So we can't let those happen for the next game, because the next team we play is the same way, aggressive, hands in the passing lane. They're just trying to take the ball from me.
South Carolina heads to Athens tonight for a 7 p.m. tip. The Dogs are 2-5 in the SEC. They've lost 4 out of their last 5 against SEC teams. Okay, registration for next year's Drive, Chip, and Putt is now open for boys and girls ages 7 to 15. Local qualifying begins in May and runs throughout the summer. 80 finalists, 40 boys, 40 girls, will earn an invite to compete in the national finals at Augusta National Golf Club next spring. That registration link is on our webpage. Spring coming up soon, right, guys?
It is, Alyssa, and it's going to feel a little bit more like spring, especially by this weekend. If you have a tee time Saturday or Sunday, morning temps well above freezing, and those afternoon highs are going to be up into at least the mid-60s. Now, a quick look at that 7-day just after the break.
At Gerald Jones Auto Group, we're celebrating the new year, and we've got more cars and...
Welcome back. A nice look at our sunset here from outside of our studios. Wanted to mention this eastbound traffic on I-20, slow moving. So just a heads up, we do have some congestion here near the state line, but it's been a beautiful day. We actually topped out at 60 degrees. Right now we're cooling off into the mid-50s. We'll continue this cooling trend this evening, most likely seeing the 40s within the next couple of hours. But decent night on tap. We are going to keep that wind steady. Not going to go completely calm tonight. So even though our actual temps should stay close to 40 tomorrow morning, likely we'll feel a little bit colder with some wind. It is going to be a breezy afternoon tomorrow with those gusts, maybe 25, close to 30 miles an hour at times, but a little bit warmer for us, expecting those highs at least into the upper 60s out there for your Wednesday afternoon. Just going to bring in a few more clouds on Thursday, keeping things nice and dry. Once we get into Friday, most likely Friday afternoon, that's going to be our best chance for our next chance for rain. That'll be working its way into West Georgia by Friday morning, but Friday morning our low temperatures should actually be in the upper 40s, so going to continue temperatures above average for the rest of the week. There's those decent rain chances Friday late into the day. That will continue into Friday night, but we are back to dry conditions for the weekend. Actually looks like one of the best weekends we have had all year.
We deserve it. We've been through a lot. Thanks for that, Riley. And thanks for joining us for News 12 Live at 5. News 12 at 6 o'clock coming up next.
Introducing the First Alert Radar Network.
With up to 10 times the resolution of other local radars and technology that can pinpoint right down to your street.
First just got faster.
Please join me for a live educational webinar where I'll break down every aspect of Medicare. I promise you'll walk away feeling confident and prepared to take the next step on your Medicare journey. It's free to join, and you can sign up right on our website, rU64.com.
Augusta Amusements